how will the new incinerator in Hong Kong affect you? Sound like an exciting topic? That's what I thought. Boring. How can we do this exciting? How we get into that? So, a little bit of background for some of you. This is the proposed site for the new incinerator in Hong Kong. This wonderful patch of ocean. Lantau Island up in the top here, looking through Chung Chau into Hong Kong Island in the background. That's the picture that I look at and get a little bit worried about, because this is the picture the government's showing us in our models about what we're going to do. And that little yellow circle seems to have got a lot bigger, and kind of looks kind of green and nice, doesn't it? Why have they painted it green? We've heard about emissions today, air pollution. That's one of the considerations. But back to the question. This is what I was asked. How will it actually affect us? So, question. Will the new incinerator affect Hong Kong residents? Put up your hand if you think it will. Okay. Hands down. Now, put up your hands if you think that'll affect Hong Kong in a good way. Yeah, there's a couple of people thinking that. How many of you think it'll affect Hong Kong in a bad way? Okay, now while you're running through that thought, what was your process of assessing those boundaries? How did you come up with right and wrong? What is good? What is bad? How big is the problem? So, what we're looking at is, you've got all these different ideas. I had a very small number of ideas. So I came up with, well, what's the issue we're trying to solve? Is it we've got way too much waste in Hong Kong and we need to throw it away? Okay, we all know the place called Away, right? It doesn't exist. There is no Away, and there's a very interesting video to watch on that topic as well. But are we trying to reduce the volume of waste, or are we just trying to hide how wasteful we are? This is one of the questions, and that's a question for you to answer to yourselves, guys. These are personal questions. This is what we're talking about. And it's choices around the topic of the incinerator that I want you to think about anything you do in your life. What are your boundaries, and how wide are you prepared to explore and look? So the issue, shouldn't it be waste reduction, i.e. stop creating them in the first place? Location, you saw it's next to an island. Why did they choose there? There's some interesting topics on why they chose the location. The technology, again, technology is just technology, good, bad, how it's used, how it's operated, as we've heard about, trucks, buses, cars, it doesn't matter. If you don't maintain it correctly, it's going to cause trouble. Timing, the solution, they say that landfills are filling up, but the solution is taking 3 years longer than they say some of the landfills will fill up. So is that really a sensible solution? Maybe not. What are the health impacts? We don't know. Some technology will have certain emissions, others will have different. What are we comfortable with? Cost. Most expensive incinerator probably going to be built in the world. Is that a good use of our money? Interesting. Visual impacts. Do we even need a nice green building next to an island or a part of Hong Kong that has no other construction? I don't think so. And overall fit. Overall fit, for me, this is how we go from the trash can through the recycling bins, all the way through the collection process, bypassing the incinerator, bypassing the landfill, and hopefully going to the recycling shop. What's the whole story that we're trying to address here? So, let's get on to some photos of Hong Kong. You'll have all seen something very similar to modern waste management facilities in Hong Kong, correct? The refuse collection point. Stuff located and sorted nicely. You will also have known about the 3 colour bins. I don't need to know which ones are which at this stage, but look at which bin here is empty. It's the rubbish bin. Talk about timing. Why don't they collect the recyclables quicker? Why is it that we're able to fill up the recyclable bins, but we can't seem to ever keep the rubbish bin filled? It's always as empty in Hong Kong. Modern recycling, we've all seen it. Granny pushing the trolley down the road, double-decker buses in Hong Kong, behind, blocking a road, covered in cardboard, because that is what we call modern recycling in Hong Kong. This is the guys taking the fluorescent tubes and the surroundings of fluorescent tubes, breaking those down on a street where the Those tubes have chemicals in them. Some are not so kind to the human health. Opposite, one of the top hotels in Hong Kong, happening on our street. Wouldn't you love to run a business in Hong Kong with large rent payments where you can just operate on the footpath for free? But some people said, no, we don't want recycling done like that. Lamma Island, one of the offshore islands here in Hong Kong, this community said, we're going to take those glass bottles that are going into landfill and actually get them recycled. What was cool is that started a problem, you might say, for the Environmental Protection Department, because they kept annoying them asking for bins. They created it, and they ended up coming up with these glass bins for collecting bottles. Sensible. And they ended up doing a trial across the islands. So this is outside my village in Mui Wo. I'm in one of the little villages called Lukaiton. And after nagging, annoying, pestering, that's what kids are good at. That's what you've got to do, pester. And that's what adults need to do more of. Pester in a good way. Say, I want one of those. I want one of those. It didn't go in my village because the village reps think that recycled bins are smellier and dirty and attract waste and rats and things compared to rubbish bins. My rubbish bins in my village smell bad. Anyhow, we got it in there. And I can't believe it. People use it. Why would people want to use it? Because it's a sensible thing to do, isn't it? Trying to recycle. Of course, we shouldn't be drinking that much in our village to start with, and be drinking out of not glass bottles and maybe using kegs where you don't have to refill bottles. All of these questions about we're still creating rubbish by drinking it, we're recycling rubbish. But people were using it, and it doesn't just look like the standard things. Then you dig into the rubbish collection system and the processes of how the recyclers work with the rubbish collectors. So these ladies are doing their job. Their job is to collect the rubbish. Their job is, it seems, to be to clear anything that's outside a recycling bin and put it in the rubbish. So, the good person that put all their paper next to the paper bins and that, and the people that had some cardboard, because I know, because I put this cardboard next to the recycling bins in the village. We don't have glass in the village, but we did finally get recyclable bins in the village. These ladies do what they're told, they come along and put it in the rubbish. And there is some good news, because now we can see what's in our recycling bins, because they use clear plastic bags rather than the black bags, because they all look the same. So you need to look at how do you show people you're actually doing something. Even if you're doing the right thing, it might look the wrong thing. And in this case, once again, does that look like a rubbish bin? It is a rubbish bin in Hong Kong standard, but that should be a recycled cardboard bin. So my simple idea, so for you, look for the simple ideas. Why don't we just have simple tags? A black one is rubbish. A blue one is paper. Okay, we do need some separation. There's that problem with separation. But it could be just on each bin. In any bin, it could be any colour, depending on the amount of waste we get. So Hong Kong, modern city, we have new towns. That photo on the left there is, in the fine print, called a refuse collection point. What is it that 6 months ago when I took that photo, and I was back there a couple of weeks ago, that refuse collection point looks exactly the same. Does that look like they're throwing the rubbish in the ocean? But what about the workers? Surely someone's noticed their collection point is now in the sea. What about the people that use the point that's putting, it's like, what the, it just doesn't make up. So we need, like, the light bulbs to go on somewhere. Something needs to connect up here. And you guys saw how stupid that looks, doesn't it? Even before I explained it. I'm explaining to the adults that are watching this video, I hope. And we move forward. So, the government came up with really cool plans. The plan was the blueprint for sustainable use of resources. And that plan had these cool ideas that we've got the landfill here and the landfill here and the landfill here, and we'll give some organic waste treatment facilities, i.e. fancy composters to take food waste and plant waste. And we have an existing chemical waste treatment plant. Fun part of that, it's only operating at about 15%, so we've got capacity there. So this whole integration, where can we make better use of some of the technologies? And then, in their words, they came up and said, well, but of course, based on the spatial distribution of these facilities, we need to put an incinerator down here, because there's nothing down here. one of the real distinguishing points that they had in their environmental impact assessment of locating it there. There's concerns with some of our policies you can get. The sludge treatment, all our sewage that comes from Hong Kong now into a sewage centre here, they've now got what's called a sludge treatment facility to actually process the bottom, the solid part that's left over when you treat sewage. And we had residents complaining about the smell of landfills in this area. The government solution was, okay, we'll just close it down and just put construction waste there. But now, what you're doing is carting the rubbish that would have gone here to either this landfill, or maybe barged out to this incinerator site. But it's still got mixed rubbish. Food waste is what creates the smell, the decomposing food waste. So if you're going to solve the problem, why is it okay to have smelly waste here and smelly waste here? We should have been separating our food out, and they're starting to, and we'll get into some numbers on that. So they closed the landfill since January, but construction waste will go there. So just the rubble from buildings like the concrete and things like that. Okay, we saw the integrated waste management facilities, long word, incinerator with a small amount of recycling next to it. There's cool automated recycling facilities now. Machines that can scan the types of plastic, blow it and shift it and sort the metal out, and all that can be done on a conveyor, flicking parts. It's cool stuff, and we could do that in Hong Kong. Many of us are really annoyed by this solution because the things that are going on we could do in other places. But how much waste has Hong Kong got? About 9,000 tonnes. We'll just use that as a safe number. It's probably a little bit more. 3,000 tonnes, a third of it is food waste. It's incredible. Per day. 3,000 tonnes per day. And we're not talking about construction waste, so we get a lot. The other part is the government plan for that incinerator is 3,000 tonnes per day. So simply 9 minus 3, 6. You think, okay, so we've still got 6,000 tonnes problem. But the incinerator, even with a small organic waste treatment, another 500 tonnes per day, so we can get to 2. The issue is, this number. You burn something in wrong technology, or an older style of technology, and you generate sort of about a third of what goes in as ash. Toxic ash that's then going to be sent to our landfills. Maybe we could look at other technology, because so in the effect of what they're planning, we're really only reducing the problem by 2,500, depending on your boundary on the problem. 2,500 tonnes per day, it's a step forward, but we've still got all that other space to work on. And some of the government departments have actually looked at the reports and number and said they could do a lot better. I'm sure you have all seen this before. What's the waste hierarchy? It's prevention. It's redesign of products so we don't have waste or even need to recycle something in the first place. A refillable bottle may be a good idea, but if we didn't need the bottle or the product in the bottle in the first idea, we don't need it. So reuse, recycling, recovery and disposal. This is the incinerator landfill. It should be last. Notice in the plan that what they're talking about doing more of. So we took the government plan, busy slide, don't worry about that, and we said if we were starting from scratch and a group of people with different backgrounds from different industries said, how will we solve the problem? We looked at how can we reduce the waste, where's more mechanical sorting, that fancy technology of sorting things, more recycling, made easy, i.e. maybe just emptying the bins more often, and composting. And we looked at it in a different way. And as we're getting close to one of those favourite times in your day, I thought this would be useful. When you get a big pizza, one of those giant pizzas, do you try and eat the whole piece in one go? Or we do, but one mouthful at a time, right? I've never seen someone just even take a small pizza and fit it in without any chewing. Fit it in and then do it. So what I'm saying is break up the pie, put it into smaller pieces. So, waste-wise, we had our 3 landfill sites. Why not put smaller incinerators near there? If we go down at 600-700 tonne per day incinerators, you can try different technologies. If you had competing contracts that the person operating this side had to outperform these guys and they didn't get any bonuses, would that drive down other things to happen quickly? And then we look for vacant land without needing to do reclamation. There's vacant land in Hong Kong. We'll be told other stories at times. But next to Disneyland, we looked at tunnelling under the hill there and putting things there with barging facilities, which all could have been done quicker than the other option. So, break it into small things. And what does a cool place look like? This, to me, is a modern recycling facility or a waste centre. Okay, it's near the big bridge in Hong Kong. It's multi-storey, the trucks drive here. So imagine community groups in the top, recycling different things happening on each level, and the trucks driving past. That type of thing we can build. We don't have to build out in Hong Kong, we can build up. The other part is, this is Eco Park. You guys had a school trip to Eco Park? They do school trips there. What you notice? Boats going past, i.e. the barges carting the rubbish, and trucks going past, straight to the landfill. Both sides go to the landfill. This area, they're not forced to stop there. In the recycling industry, those people operating, the plastic recyclers, the wood recyclers, the computer recyclers, they all have the large cost of sending stuff from other parts of Hong Kong to here. But most of it's going past every day because we've seen the numbers. So, how can we integrate our services into a far better way? And this is where we get on to, remember today's talk is about how you can look at things differently, what are your values, what are your ideals, and what is your point of difference that you're going to say, no, I won't let that happen. So, I'm going to give you 3 questions to look at to finish with. And it's all around stopping the rubbish in Hong Kong, or insert my home, my school, anywhere in the world. So what's your vision for managing waste? Should we do it the same way, or should we be looking for cool new solutions? Are you going to just take what you're given in your textbook, i.e. what they propose from one direction, or are you going to investigate, as we've heard, look at the problem from different ways, different angles, and then what's a solution, what's your success? How are you going to actually measure your success? So together, I think that's really cool ideas that are worth sharing or getting into action. So let's keep the rubbish out of our society. Thank you very much, everyone.